before I was working with you, I wasn't really aware of how much things go into ecom with details, you know? My life has changed drastically the last year. You have to choose one business model and one strategy, then you can make it work, you know? And I sold phone cases. April 3rd, I had a 1K day very early. The next day at 4 p.m., I already had 1K again. I made the choice to quit my job. Yeah, it actually worked out, you know?
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to this new video. And in this video, I'll be doing an interview with Kane. And Kane has done some amazing numbers the last few months with fashion dropshipping as well. So, what's your age, location? Like, what did you do before you even started ecom?
Of course, man. Thank you for the introduction. So basically, I've been in ecom for a long time. Wasn't really active for a long time because I've always looked at different kind of strategies to do, and I've always tested
Mm,
various of things before really making the choice to actually log in. You know. So yeah, of course, I'm from the
yeah.
Netherlands, like most guys in ecom, as I've noticed.
Yes, for sure.
Yes, almost like 80% of guys are Dutch. It's pretty funny. I don't know why it is. Maybe it's more popular here. I'm 19 years old from Limburg. Entrepreneurship was always something that I've had inside me. Something that I realized at like I think 15 years old when I wasn't really interested in school anymore because when you're at that age from like 15 till 16, you slowly start thinking, all right, so what kind of things do I want to study, you know? For myself, I was always a little bit creative. So I liked graphic design, making websites, a lot of digital stuff. And I've had different kinds of internships through school. Noticed that sometimes some things were not really for me. And yeah, so at like 16 years old, like some guys, I had this YouTube channel when I did gaming a lot. And so I took that very seriously. And for the YouTube channel, of course, you need to edit some videos, make some thumbnails. And I realized I was fairly good at that. So what I did is I installed Photoshop on my laptop, and then I started selling logos and thumbnails, banners too, from Fortnite to little kids at like 12, 13, 14 years old. Started making my first little bit of money. I think like 200 euros maximum. But still, it was fun for me. You know, it didn't take much time. It was something to learn, something I enjoyed. I was getting better and better. And then I was already thinking, like, okay, so I was working at a supermarket, making like 300, 400 euros a month, almost nothing. And I wanted to combine my income streams. You know, I wanted to have an income stream from YouTube, something with the logos, with the banners, with my job. And I was already thinking, okay, I'm 16. How can I already make 1K a month? Didn't work out, but I was still thinking that way, and I've always kept that interest to make money online.
Yeah,
And I've
yeah,
tried
yeah, bro.
various of things, man.
Yeah, bro. So I really like to hear that to begin with. Like, a lot of guys that really succeed and that really succeed at a young age. And also for myself, I've always seen that those guys are basically hustlers from maybe the age of 13 or 12 or 14 or 15. Like, you always have money on your mind. And also for myself, so when I was just like 14, 15, I bought like the Ball Masterclass. Uh, so I wanted to sell on the platform. It's basically like the same as Amazon. But it didn't work out, of course. Like back then. But when I look at it, it's like it's quite funny that for years you've been trying just everything you saw online, just maybe the ball masterclass or maybe something else, but eventually something will hit. Like eventually something will stick, and that's exactly what happened to you right now, right?
Yes, yeah. Like with the graphic design, I was fairly good at that, but I didn't really see a future in it, you know? It was just something I noticed that it was very easy for me to do because I've always had these stupid school projects where you have to make a logo or like a product with something extra to make it beautiful or something. And I was always good on Canva and stuff like that. So that's when I really realized that. And yeah, I've also tried some stupid things that were fairly funny. I don't know how I got into it, but I also sold on bol.com, which is a very popular website in the Netherlands. It's like the Amazon of the Netherlands. And I sold phone cases for like a year. It went okay, but the thing was the profit margin on a phone case is just very low. You cannot sell a phone case for over like 15 euros, and the shipping to Belgium was already like 8 euros. Belgium was a headache, and I already encountered my first problems, you know. So what
Yeah.
happened was the phone case. It's small, you know. It can fit through a through the door to a briefcase, you know. But still, I had customers sending me emails like it didn't arrive, the wife broken. Although I knew it's a stupid plastic phone case, it cannot be broken. It's not possible. And I always checked it and packed it myself, you know. But yeah, there are always customers that will say it didn't arrive, stuff like that, and customers that wanted to return. And bol.com was a very nice platform to get sales easily because it was like 100 million people or like visitors each year, I think, maybe in a year. And yeah, they have very strict rules. So when someone wants to return, you cannot decline that. Doesn't matter which reason they have. If someone says it didn't arrive and you have proof it did, it doesn't matter. You still have to refund them. So I had a lot of customer service issues. I dealt with a lot of suppliers, and then I kind of started learning ecom a little bit, and also the problems that can happen with ecom. But it was
Yeah.
fairly funny, you know. I only made a little bit of money, but I still learned a lot of it.
And like that's the most important thing, you know. Like you still learned something from it, you know?
Hmm.
Like you fail, 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 and then you succeed eventually, right? And now I also have like the next question. So what was the state of your business before you start working with me? And
So
also,
yeah,
what did you do in your personal life? So maybe you've worked a job.
my life has changed drastically the last year. Like now, it's 28th of September. And last year in October, I also started my own office with a couple of friends, but I'll get to that later on. But it's almost a year, you know? And yeah, before that time, it was different, man. So, of course, I've had, like, when I was young, the gaming phase. Then I started going out. I had friends that were doing wrong stuff and stuff like that. And yeah, I didn't really enjoy, like, partying and doing drugs and stuff like that because all my friends they were like it doesn't matter what we do in the weekend because we're following our study and then everything will be all right. But I was always like I don't really care what the study about the study I'm following because I'm not interested in that and I don't really want to work a job full time for someone else later on. So yeah, I was doing ecom. I did that for like 3 years, but not that seriously because I was distracted with the wrong friends and didn't really have that much guidance into it. And of course, like everyone else, I saw a lot of guys succeeding, and I never saw really the bad side of it. And I was always very interested in it because I have many friends who do like crypto trading or forex trading, stuff like that. And the thing about ecom is people make it very simple, but you're still running a real business. And when you take it seriously, you have employees, which are real people, of course, and your customer is also a real person. So you have to take it seriously. And yeah, so it doesn't really matter if a business is digital or yeah, physically. You still have the same problems, and you can learn a lot from it. And I thought it was very interesting. And yeah, so I was doing ecom. I did all right. I was always just scaling a store in the Netherlands. And yeah, I bought some courses, but it didn't really work out. Also, didn't really do much with it. And eventually, I was to this point like, okay, I'm almost done with my study. I don't want to study anything after that. I also don't really want to do anything with my marketing degree. And I'm still interested in this ecom thing for already 2 3 years. So now I really want to do something with it. So
Yeah.
I made this like agreement with my mom that like this year, so 2025, was really the year that I try everything with ecom, and if it doesn't work out, because this is kind of my break year from school, then I'll get back to study and do a job and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, at the beginning of this year, I met you, so in January, and I was still kind of struggling in the Netherlands, which most people start a store. Like when people get introduced to ecom, and like I said, 80% of guys is Dutch. We usually start in the Netherlands, or some guys start in Denmark or France, but most of them Netherlands because it's fairly easy. You kind of know the market, you know the people that live there. It's your language. It's not that complicated, you know. And
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I was doing because I was listening to like 8 strategies at the same time. Because when you join a lot of Discords, communities, you also watch some videos. Most strategies they can work, like the same as that all business models can work. But if you do crypto trading and you have a agency and you do ecom, none of it works. So you have to choose one business model and one strategy, and then you can make it work. Of course, you can tweak
Yeah.
some stuff. So yeah, I was like, okay. So I was trying 8 strategies at the same time, switching a lot, of course. So that really resulted in nothing really working. But I knew from that first couple sales that it's possible, because I really remember
Yeah.
like the first day I went ads, I had like 4 sales on the shoe, and that was very lucky. And I didn't know what to do. And then the next day I didn't get sales, and I killed it like at like 9 in the morning because I thought that like 4 sales at 50 budget with a very bad ad and product page without bullet points, stuff like that was normal, I thought. But I was just very lucky at that time.
Like, bro, what's the thing now where nowadays is basically what you've already said, right? Like you have 20,000 different things. You have crypto, you have ecom, you have this and you have that. And also inside of ecom, you have 20 or 30 different strategies. Like you have so much strategies and so much people saying different things. Um, but what the thing is, when you try to make a puzzle, right? And you have all like pieces of 20 different puzzles, and when you try to basically make the puzzle, it's not going to work out, you know? Like what's really important is to focus on the one thing. And that's also a book, right? Like, but it's really important, guys. Like, just focus on one thing and you will make it work. Like, I see so many guys just business hopping or maybe strategy hopping, right? So, okay, they try for 1 week and then they try another business model and then they try another one. But like with the same time, you can also just try one thing, do it for 1 2 years, become fucking good at it, and make it work. Like that's how that's basically how it went for me and for many other successful guys, basically how it went. Like just take one solid strategy, just go balls deep on it for a few years at least, or maybe at least 6 months, and then you will make it work for sure. Like that's just really, really important. But out of all these strategies, like what made you decide to work with me instead of like the other
Yeah, I
99%?
was I was just really interested also in the content that you're making, and I also heard from some guys, that you were doing very big numbers, and that's always also something I recommend. Like you cannot really believe everything you see, but when you hear from other people that they also have a good experience with someone, or they just know that someone is doing well and they know what they're talking about, then you can also really just um, like agree to work with someone. But the thing is, how do I say it? yeah, I was just always interested in general fashion because I had many guys who said like, "Oh yeah, you need like 5K and you can already do branding." But how can you do branding when you're not even able to scale like a fashion store on Google, Meta, TikTok, or whatever to like 200 or 300K a month because you don't really have experience with employees, building a team, trying different creative strategies, stuff like that. Because branding is a whole new game. Like you said, in ecom, you have 20 different business models. Google is something completely different. You also have Pinterest, Meta, branding, all that stuff, you know? And yeah, I always just wanted to learn from someone that knows what he does. And of course, someone else's strategy, like exactly 100%, might not work might not be like the best strategy ever for you, but it's a kind of fundamental to start, you know. And yeah, right
Yeah,
now I've learned everything the way you do, and I do everything like 90% the same, you know, because eventually you have to look at okay,
yeah,
what works for me, you know. But yeah, I also saw
yeah, for
many
sure.
guys doing very complicated stuff, man. And still, I see many guys like putting a lot of effort into just testing a campaign with multiple ad sets and targetings and stuff like that. People to this day in 2025 still try to target better than Facebook. It's funny to see.
Yeah, bro. But that's exactly what I just basically told you, right? Like most of the guys, these are just the guys that are basically the freebies, right? So they have 20, 30 different Discord groups or different WhatsApp groups. They just try every strategy that they can find and they mix it all together. And of course, it's not going to work out. Like it's almost 99% of the time not going to work out. Just take one strategy, focus on it, and you will make it work for sure. And like, what stood out to you compared to other mentorships or something like that?
Well, it's very simple. There are guys that do like branding or Google or that are really active in like um, Google fashion dropshipping, but they teach meta fashion dropshipping, you know? And I want to learn
Yeah,
from someone who's actively still doing this and still doing good numbers, you know? Of course, like most guys started with meta fashion. It's like it's the most common choice when you do dropshipping besides branding. But I don't really want to learn from someone who does branding really well when I want to learn general fashion. Like from someone who did general
yeah,
fashion maybe 2 years ago, although it's constantly changing. Same as everything is changing, you know? Every business model, just everything online is changing by the week, man, almost. So
yeah, for
even when
sure.
you did general fashion a year ago and you try it right now, it might not change a lot, but there are still maybe a couple things that changed that if you don't know about it, then you cannot succeed, you know? So I want to learn from
Yeah,
someone who's doing what I want to learn actively, who's doing well, and not someone who did it or just knows a lot about it, you know?
yeah, bro. Like, just what the thing is, ecom, like, so wait, like, what the thing is, ecom can just move like this, right? Like, they can change the algorithm or they can change a few little details, and it's all a whole another game, right? Like, that's the thing. So you need to stay updated today. Like you need to stay updated on what's going to change in like a week, a month, or maybe a day, you know. Um, but yeah, like that's the whole game, you know. But walk me through the numbers, bro. Like what kind of success did you see?
So my success kind of skyrocketed in a very short time, you know? So I had my store in the Netherlands and I didn't know about momentums, which is a very important thing, but I didn't know about it, you know? So I was in the Netherlands for like a year, not that active but still. And when I was talking with you, you told me, or you did, I don't really exactly remember, but you told me, I think, to check out the momentum in the Netherlands. So I tried to do research because we had like I think 3, 4 product research calls in the beginning, and yeah, there wasn't really much to find in the Netherlands, and that's something like I thought it was because my product research strategy um, wasn't really working because I was still learning it, you know. But you instantly told me like, no man, there's just no momentum in the Netherlands right now. So then I made the switch to Denmark because you know that most momentums in markets they repeat every year around the same time, most of the time. And you told me like in March, April, Denmark is a very good market to sell. So yeah, I made the switch. I think late in March, maybe 20th of March, maybe a couple of days earlier. So yeah, I started testing, and the thing about your strategy, what I really like, is keeping everything very simple and just looking at the data, like really learning to read your data and act on it, and not doing um, things you like not changing the ad copy because you think it doesn't look good. What is this sentence or what is this offer, or like trying to make very nice creatives when you just know the other creatives work better, you know? Because what you do is you put very little effort into testing a product for the first time, like a campaign. And when something works, of course, then you can put effort into it. But you don't know that before something works. So yeah, I was just testing. I think the first week, I remember these dates very clearly. I think 26th of March is when I got my first winner, which I think that already 35K in more than a month. And I think, yeah, April 3rd was my first 1K day. And at that time, I was working as a delivery driver for like FedEx, DHL, but it's PostNL, but for most people,
Yeah.
it's like a company like that. And so yeah, I was getting sales in the bus, you know, while delivering. And I remember having my music very loud, and it was summertime with the windows open a little bit. And when I was standing at the door from like a customer, I could hear the kaching sound, you know, from the bus, because the bus, yeah, it just had really loud speakers, and I just could hear it at the end of the street, you know, and would always get excited. And yeah, also like whole April, I was always taking my laptop with me because I had very long days. I think like 10 to 12 hour shifts just to manage my ads, you know. I was always on Ads Manager. And yeah, I remember, so April 3rd, I had a 1K day very early. It was like 5 p.m. Yeah, 5 p.m. I remember. So the first thing I did, I called my mom to tell her about the 1K day, because I told her that I invested money and all my time into ecom, that I really started again, you know, that I was really working on it actively. And I remember the next day at 4 p.m. I already hit 1K again. So I called her again. And then the third day, so 5th of April, um, at 12 p.m. So almost, yeah, like in the morning, I already hit 1K day. And then, yeah, just, you know, I had momentum. I had my winner. I was testing more stuff. Like everything I tested already had like 1 or 3 sales. Some things I killed, of course, like in 3 days. But still, everything was slowly hitting. And of course, one winner is not enough. But when you have one winner and you have momentum and you just keep on testing every day, not missing a day, it really picks up altogether, you know? So the jump from 1K day to 2K days was like maybe 4 or 5 days. I remember like when I was close to the 2K day, I had this friend of mine who lives really far away. He would come over because I was on 1999.8 or something. I just needed one sale, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. And then the next day I had like 2.3K or something. And
Nice.
yeah, man, then the only issue I basically had in Denmark was just it was working too well, just to be honest. Because I had this time where I was like a typical Dutch guy, I was very greedy. So I wanted to scale everything, but you said, okay, like, of course you have a ROAS of like 4. I had very good ROAS and very good statistics on my ROAS sheet. But I knew if I scaled, I would probably hit 5K days. It was possible, easily. And it was just not worth the risk, because
Yeah.
it's not smart with Shopify payments to go to like 5K days or higher. So yeah, so I was not really testing anymore for like a week. I was just in my roll sheet all the time, sparring with you about choices, because yeah, most guys they don't really keep track of their roll sheet. And in all your videos, you mentioned so many times the roll sheet is so important. And because I
Yeah.
filled it in and I was going over it with you, I managed to keep that momentum for a very long time, which is slowly downscaling, sometimes adding new creatives, forcing a little bit ad spend on ad sets, stuff like that. And I was able to keep on running 3K days with the same campaigns with a high, healthy profit margin, for like
Yeah.
almost 2 months before momentum did down. But the thing that really made the change was, okay, so I had momentum doing 3K a day easily, although 2 weeks before that, a 1K day seemed impossible. And then I was already used to 3K days, so that's funny how that went in a short time. And I wanted to scale, but I wasn't really able to. But I cracked like the market, so I knew what kind of creatives worked, ad copy, website offer, etc. And what you said was basically very logically and simple thinking, which the whole strategy is mostly about. And you just said, why don't you just duplicate your store exactly the same, run the same kind of ads, and start testing on there? So yeah, long story short, I did that, and on day 6, I already had 1K days, and that just kept on going. So
Yeah,
that was
bro.
crazy. So
Like,
that way, I was easily doing 5K days, in a very short time, and yeah,
yeah.
made a lot of profit
Yeah,
in that
bro.
market
Like,
because it's a fairly easy market.
yeah, bro. Like you basically went from like a delivery guy just doing like the 9 to 5 shit, right? Like maybe you earned 80 or 100 euros a day, right?
Yeah, true. I had some days that I had to work for like 11 hours straight, from like, let's say 9 in the morning till 11 p.m. or something. So like the whole day, and I earned 100 euros. And I was like, today with Shopify, I made like 1,200 euros. So actually, I made a very simple calculation. It's costing me money to work my job instead of just to work on ecom. So that
Facts.
was a very strange realization I had at that time. And then I switched to working 1 day a week, only on a Saturday, because I had a little bit of a higher pay rate. It was like a 40% increase, and that was fine. But then the whole Saturday, every week, I was locked out for 11 hours. And of course, like with ecom, but also just selling online, in the weekends, those are usually the good days. And those good days where I made like a 1,200 euros profit a day, that was also on Saturday. And I was in my van working and just looking at my statistics, and I was like, I'm still losing money
Like, damn.
just for that one day,
Damn, bro.
because I was like, okay, if I
Yeah.
now just could have worked like 4 hours to try to optimize my product page, make a new collection out of my winners, also find and test 3 new products for the next day, I would make more money. So eventually, after April, that was like my 0 to 100K month, very easily, very fast. I made the choice to quit my job, and yeah, it actually worked out. I
Nice, bro.
I realized
Like,
that personal life does cost more money than I imagined, but yeah, I managed. pretty fine. So I don't cannot complain, you know. I would rather work like 100 hours a week for myself than working like 40 hours a week to eventually achieve nothing. So yeah, I was already for my life and goal what I want to achieve with like entrepreneurship totally like for 80% already there because I already didn't really I didn't have to work a job anymore, you know, so I could do my own thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really already made the change in a very short time because like 40 days before that moment when I quit, I couldn't imagine how I would do a 1K day.
Like, what was the turning point where you basically realized, like, okay, this is actually working? Like, what did you do different compared than basically working with me? Like, and also when you started working with me, like, what was the change for success for you? Yeah, so basically that.
Yeah, it's very simple, man. So of course it's something you have to learn, but I was doing most things very simple. I wasn't like when I test 100 products, I'm not going to test 100 products with 100 different strategies, you know. And yeah, so you and me, we took a lot of time to learn me how to read the right data and also how to ignore data that's pretty irrelevant, you know. So yeah, I was just looking
Yeah,
at okay, what's working and what's not working, and what should I be doing less and what should I be doing more. And this is all very simply said, but yeah, just reading your data. And I was reading my data in my like ads manager, what I was in the whole time, and I saw that some things were just working really well, and some things I tried. When you take like an overview of like 2 weeks, what I've tried, some things weren't really working. So then I started to shift my focus on the right things, and then I kind of cracked like what works for me, you know. And yeah, like you
yeah,
said, also with
yeah,
collections, you know, that's
guys,
where I
like,
made most of my money with making my own collections based on what worked for me and not for my competitor, but with my strategy, my winning products, and my winning product description, stuff like that, you know. That's what really made the change.
yeah, like that's just what I've been telling guys for so long, but some guys still don't take action. Like, just make sure to read your data properly. Like, everything is already in your data, like what you need to succeed, right? So look at your data, just see what's like right and working for you. Make sure to go double down on this. So maybe you open another store in the same market. You maybe make new collections out of the same collections. You test more of what works already, right? And then you're going to make more money eventually, and then you will double your numbers.
All the knowledge you
Yeah,
need is already in your hands if you know how to read your analytics and act on it, you know. You can of course you can
yeah, for
talk
sure.
to so many guys and I don't know, learn 20 new strategies, but if you just look at your data and really try to learn how to look at the analytics the right way, you already know what to do. If you just know what to look at, you know, then
Yeah.
all those strategies might not work, or then you know which one will work because you know what you need, because yeah, everything is really tailor made, you know.
Yeah, true. And like, what's also one thing that I wanted to mention is that you've basically really focused on backend as well. So like, your backend was really good, your refund rates were already really good, and we've made sure that you will get no holds. Like, I see so many guys just scaling too hard without a proper backend, not knowing like what's going to come, like what kind of research or holds they're going to get. Like, what's important is also to get that transparency as well, to see like, okay, maybe I need another payment processor, or I just scale slow but scale with 3, 4, 5 stores. And also, how should my backend look like? Like, what kind of employees do I need to hire? What kind of refund funnels or something like that should I use? Like, that's also like 50% of your success as well.
Yeah, I was also very interested in backend at the early stages, you know, of my success, because most guys, and first I found it very complicated with you with like the backend, and but now I really understand it because most guys they look at okay, this is my revenue, this is my ad spend, this is the KOGs, stuff like that, and that's my profit. And maybe some guys you think, okay, I have transaction costs, and I put that of the profit, and maybe the ad spend fee, and that's the real profit. But that's not it, because you pay like 25 cents per order, for example. You also have refunds, also chargebacks. Like if you go into your customer service sheet or whatever you have, and you count up all your chargebacks, that's not your chargeback rate, because when you use an app like Disputifier, you also have to pay them. Plus you have chargeback fees and transaction costs and stuff like that. And if you add up all those four things, then you have your real chargeback rate, you know. And of course, with
Yeah,
most of the sheets, you kind of expect like a charge refund rate of 5%. Of course, it varies per market. It's a very big difference when you sell in Netherlands, Denmark, or in USA or UK. But still, yeah, like before I was working with you, I wasn't really. I also said this to you, I think 3 times, aware of how much things go into ecom with details, you know? Because now I have like 20 Excel sheets. And first it was very overwhelming. And now, yeah, I'm just in Excel all the time. And I'm very good with it now. But yeah, first it was very complicated. But now I realize that your backend, like most of the time your customer service, but really your backend, so also your supply chain, stuff like that, that's where you make your real profit. Because if you do like
yeah,
100K, you
sure.
make 20K gross profit, but your backend is shit. Maybe you get a hold or something, or you just only keep like 3%, like 3K or something. It's very easy
Yeah,
to make
bro.
revenue, but not to keep profit. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, bro. Like, what's the real deal? And is just your backend. Like, and also what I see a lot of the time is that there's not enough guidance as well for like the backend for team building. Like, and also the transparency, right? Like, what do you actually need right now? Like, that's the whole thing. Like there is reason that your backend right now is better positioned than already quite a lot of the guys that I see in the space right now, you know. But like, what's just important is to always scale from back end to front end. So always make sure to exactly know how much tickets you can handle right now. Like, and just like how many working hours does your employee have right now? First, make sure to hire more people and then focus on getting more revenue. Because when you first get more revenue in and then going to hire, like, bro, then you're just going to fuck yourself,
Then
you
you're
know?
in the middle
Like,
of the
you will
storm. You
get
know,
Shopify reserves, you will get holds, maybe you will get Shopify banned, you will get blacklisted, and then you're basically back to zero. So please always make sure to focus on back end instead of front end. Like that's just the most important thing in this whole game.
when you have to fix your backend, when you're scaling, yeah, then you're just in the middle of the storm. You know, you cannot. You want to focus when you're doing numbers on your front end, of course. You know, because when you're doing numbers,
Yeah,
you eventually you're able to hit a roof really quickly without a private payment processor of like 3K, 3.5K per day. Then you already want to start a new store. Maybe you want to eventually have like 3 or 4 stores in a market, in like a bigger
yeah.
market. Yeah. That's really possible, you know, it's fairly realistic. And you just want to focus on that in
And
time.
what do the next 12 months look like for you as of right now?
So, of course, now Q4 is around the corner, and I hope to do very good numbers here. And yeah, so Q4 for me right now is really it's really a smart choice for me to go into small markets to make as much money as possible, and also to keep notes on all the momentums right now to see, okay, which momentums on which markets, which trends do I really see in which markets, kind of offer strategies, sales, etc. So I know all this data, all these notes for next year. Because when next year Q4 comes around, for example, and I have more money, so a higher budget, and I already know which markets to enter, which kind of products are going to work, which kind of strategies, offers are going to work. Then I can get, for example, multiple private payment processors and really go into sky high numbers, you know. And that's kind of my strategy. And yeah, just repeating what works. Because after Denmark is of course not the most difficult market in the world. But after Denmark, I tried to go to two more difficult markets like Australia and UK, apply the same strategy, and with some problems, but that's of course normal in ecom. Eventually, the strategy still worked. It only took a little bit of more time. I had some ad account issues, but eventually my strategy proved itself 3 times. Because with my ad
Exactly.
agency, I had this problem that I couldn't uh, enter my ad account for 2 weeks. Then I had something else I don't remember, but I was stopped for like 2 times for more than a week because I was, of course, entering UK, Australia. I was doing 700 a day. I was like, okay, now it's like 1 day, maybe 3 days if I'm unlucky until I get 1K day and then I have momentum. And then I had to build it all up again. So then I built it all up in like a week or something, maybe two. And then I lost it all again. And then I had to build it all up again. But the kind of thing to be positive about, if I look back right now, is I was able to build momentum in fairly difficult markets 3 times in a row, easily, you know? So, yeah, the strategy that worked in Denmark with keeping everything simple still worked. The only thing I had to do different in bigger markets was go into more detail. Because in Denmark, or like Netherlands or Sweden or something, you can test a lot of things and then you can kind of look at, okay, what's working, I'm going to double down on that. But then you can do that at like 15 or 20 products. But in difficult markets, at like the first 5 products you already test, then you already just really need to scratch all the little data you can find to already see what's working, because you have to double down on what's working very more
Yeah.
early, you know, in earlier stages. And yeah, I just had to look at my data way more and kind of adapt the strategy earlier than you would do in a small market, and then it worked, you know.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Like the strategy still stays a bit of the same, you know? Like it always works, but of course you need to see like, okay, what's working in my market right now? And that's also what I've already explained. Like check your competitor sheet, just write down all the competitors you can find and just start by breaking down. Just start by breaking down what's working and like as of maybe the sale they're running, like what kind of ad copies they're running, and then you will see like exactly what you need to do to succeed in that market as well, you know?
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I did
And
different was just really put together a strategy very early, you know, just with a
yeah,
little bit of data I had with testing like only 15 products.
and bro, like for anyone trying to achieve like a similar level of success that you've basically achieved right now, like what's one thing they should do and what's the mindset shift that helped you the most?
Don't overcomplicate things, you know, and also don't be too high up in emotion. That's what I see a lot
Facts.
of people do. Like 90% of beginners make most mistakes when they're already online with media buying, with scaling too enthusiastic. So when they see, okay, oh my god, I have like a rolls of 5, I'm going to double down in budget. And when you double down, or like when you just scale up aggressively in general, and you see like, okay, the next day it dipped down, which is fairly common and normal, they instantly get stressed, you know? So they double their budget from like 200 to 400, and at 10 a.m. they already have 80 spent and no sale. They instantly get stressed. They already don't scale again 100% or already want to kill the campaign and stuff like that. It's funny to see. But
Yeah,
yeah,
bro.
just keeping things simple and not trying many things at the same time. You really just, of course, have to connect with people and look at people who are actively, yeah, doing ecom that you doing like the same business model that you want, Because I speak to a lot of guys, they're doing fairly well in general fashion with on Meta, but they're also doing Google, and then they're
Yeah,
also running an ad agency. So yeah, that's kind of strange, you know. And yeah,
yeah,
you really have to connect with people that know what they're doing and are actively doing the exact same thing that you are doing, that you want to learn from because you want to do the same thing as them. And yeah, the mindset shift I had, it's fairly simple. My mom agrees with this. I'm 21 years old now, and if everything goes wrong right now, there's this quote. It's very simple. Like most guys, their reality is already my worst outcome. You know, when people ask me, "What if it goes wrong? What if you lose all your money?" Then I can also just work a regular job like them. You know, and the
yeah,
thing is, most guys that are probably watching this are also fairly young. You know, by now, let's say you're 18, you can still work for like 4 5 years on ecom, lose all your money, maybe just work a job 3 months again, gather some budget, try it again, and just do that over and over 10 times before you get older and you have to move out of your house and stuff like that, you know? That's not like that's not really a risk, to be honest. I cannot even say it's worth the risk because that's not really a risk you're taking. Because if you lose everything, you can always just still work a job, you know. And I
yeah,
think it's better to have a mindset later on in life to know that you tried things and gave it your all and didn't work out, than to think back when you're 35, you already have your wife, kids, stuff like that, and then it's very difficult, you know. And then to think like, what if I just tried something?
yeah,
I think
bro.
that will be very
Like,
difficult to live with, you know. So yeah,
yeah, bro, like you can always better have like the pain of success than the pain of regret, right? Like, bro, like what people need to understand is that you, in my experience, only have like one life, you know? Like you have only one life to succeed. Why would you work like a regular job? Like, bro, that job is never going to leave. So, for example, when you try like entrepreneurship for 2 3 years, and let's say nothing works and you come back, bro, the job is still going to be there. They're just going to be there just to say to you, like, okay, haha, yeah, you failed. Like, they're waiting for you to fail. So you have to prove these guys wrong, you know? You have to prove every motherfucking wrong. Like, every person that basically doubted you, you have to prove them wrong. Like, and that's also my motivation. Like a few years ago, like you just need to prove every motherfucker wrong, you know, and you will make it happen for sure. And bro, bro, to be honest, you have a really good and also inspiring story. Bro, like, do you have any final message you would like to share with people who are maybe also like, as you can say, in the trenches, but still dream of like that success that you have right now?
you really have to surround yourself with like-minded people, you know, with the right people around you. And for some people, it might be difficult. You might not have friends close to you in your hometown which are doing entrepreneurship or doing something kind of similar or want to just make something out of their life in generally. Because most guys experience this, they just have that feeling inside them that there's potential, and they look at their friends and families and stuff like that, and they see them go out and partying and stuff like that. Online, there are so many like-minded people to find. You know, it's so easy. I've met so many people online, just like you know. Yeah, to learn from and to work with and to motivate each other, and like almost everyone has a similar story. To be honest, like everyone
Yeah,
has been in the same kind of situation with the same mindset, same kind of dream. And yeah, some people they have friends close to them, a couple ones that also want to make something out of their life. That's nice. I have two friends which are doing like crypto trading, but they also want to make something out of their life. So I have an office now with them, so that's fun. And yeah, but there are also guys that don't have that, and I know plenty of them. But yeah, they are just in Discord and WhatsApp and different kind of communities, and there are so many people to meet, you know, and to learn from and connect with, and you're never alone in this journey.
Yeah, bro. Like, just make sure to connect with like the right guys that have proper strategy and also proper results as well, that are not pushing like fake results as well, you know. Um, but like at the end of the day, it's just like doubling down, just go in the fucking trench, just put in the work. Like that's the most important thing for now. And bro, so first of all, I really would like to thank you for this interview.
No
I
problem, man.
think like we had a really great interview, a really inspiring story as well. And for the guys that are watching, if you're still watching, bro, like respect to you. I hope you took notes. And Kane, I would really like to thank you for this call.
It's my
And
pleasure,
then
man.
I see you guys into the next video. Ciao.